Many leaders present themselves throughout world history. As we go back in time, we see their crucial roles and the benefits they have gifted humanity. While holding different background, lineage, and culture, these individuals share one thing. Though they helped those in need during their lives, their teachings transcend their passing and continue to guide the human race through life today. One of these individuals was Elizabeth Jane Cochrane, pioneer in investigative journalism, feminist, and fighter for the rights of the mentally ill. She was born on May 5, 1864 in the town of Cochrane Mills, Pennsylvania. In 1885, after reading a newspaper article denying women attempting education, she wrote a fuming reply back. The editor was so impressed that he offered her a full-time job. And so, she began her fruitful career under the surname Nellie Bly. From articles written about the disadvantages of women to the exploitation of the Mexican president, her articles always strive to help the unfortunate and condemn the wrongdoer. Her claim to fame took place in 1877, where she feigned insanity in order to be admitted to the Women's Insane Asylum on Blackwell Island to expose their cruelty and abuse. She later published a book on her stay at the asylum called 10 Days in a Madhouse. Throughout this conflict, Nellie Bly fought fearlessly for the rights of the insane, bringing many needed reforms to the attention of the government and mental institutions. This is her story and the chilling account for the treatment of the mentally ill in the 19th century.
Is this the way they end for me here in this place, a mental hospital they call it? That's a fancy name, that is, but I know a better. The Bug House. A place where they'll lock you up and then throw away the key. And now they've got me, too. These grounds, these buildings, they're all so dark. Everything's dark, even the sky. I'll never get out. I'll never get out. Oh God, what will happen to me now?
To achieve this, Nellie Bly had to perfect the role of an insane girl, a name widely attributed to her after her writings were published. She used a mirror to perfect her deranged look, with staring, unblinking eyes, disconnected expressions, and an airless personality. She then made her way to a woman's temporary home. Her plan of action was to look for work there, and after some time, pretend to go insane. After pretending to hear voices at night, assuming a nature of forgetfulness and delusion and more, Nellie Bly was taken to see a doctor, and soon condemned to the insane asylum. Asylum, noun, synonyms, refuge, sanctuary, haven, or shelter. Reality was the opposite. Patients often had to wait up to a half hour in the cold waiting for dinner, consisting of measly portions and tasteless substances. Many were not able to eat due to disgust, and as their health deteriorated further, they were threatened with punishment if they refused to eat. Bly describes eating to be one of the most horrible things. But what could be done? A newfound friend of Nellie's, Tilly Mayer, told her, "You must force the food down else you will be sick, and who knows but what with these surroundings, you may go crazy." While the patients struggled with a mundane diet, they caught glimpses of the food the staff were granted. Bly said the hungry feeling would be increased tenfold. However, through it all, the hunger and the fatigue, she attempted to maintain her humanity, even offering up her meals and clothing to other patients in need. Patients sat on hard benches. Some were tied together with constraints. Bath water was horribly frigid and used as punishment. The water was ice cold and I began to protest. How useless it all was! My teeth chattered and my limbs were goose-fleshed and blue with cold. Suddenly I got, one after the other, 3 buckets of water over my head. Ice-cold water too, in my eyes, my ears, my nose, and my mouth. I think I experienced some of the sensations of a drowning person as they dragged me, gasping, shivering, and quaking from the tub. For once, I did look insane. Likewise, if they weren't broken down by the conditions, there were the tyrannical nurses who tortured and shouted at the helpless victims. Ex-convicts from the prison were also hired as staff, which added to the harshness and tension of the situation. In a conversation asking for pen and paper, Miss Group snapped at Bly, saying, "You are in a public institution now and you can't expect to get anything. But the city pays to keep these places up," Bly urged, "and pays people to be kind to the unfortunates brought here." "Well, you don't need to expect any kindness here, for you won't get it," Group said. When a patient collapsed out of bad health, the nurses said, "Let her fall to the floor as it will teach her a lesson." They even laughed at blind patients while they walked around aimlessly in oblivion, and in an extreme case, choked a patient after she had refused to stop crying. Bly states that after several hours' absence, she plainly saw the marks of their fingers on her throat for the entire day. Even the doctors were oblivious to the changes Blackwell so desperately needed. Bly, insistent on bettering the conditions, inquired about what would be the results of a fire in the confines of a heavily locked building, but all of her suggestions were ignored and not taken into account. Furthermore, many of the patients at Blackwell Island, like Bly, looked to be perfectly sane. When Nellie Bly asked Tilly Maynard, "Are you crazy?" she responded with, "No. All of the doctors refused to listen to me or give me a chance to prove my sanity." This showed fault in the admittance process. It wasn't justifiable to lock someone up if insanity was such an easily faked condition. But Bly and the others soon found out that it was hopeless. In addition, even though many of the patients did not require treatment, many did, and they were being robbed of it. Bly was bailed out of the Blackwell Asylum 10 days after she had entered its gates. She immediately wrote her exposé on the asylum's treatment. She soon answered summons to appear before the grand jury. Bly stated that she didn't expect the grand jury to sustain her after they saw everything different from what it had been when she was there. However, karma began to ensue the asylum. Nurses interviewed stated facts that contradicted each other and swore oblivion to some of the accusations. The doctors, of course, swore they knew nothing of these abuses, further attesting to their detachment from their patients. Miss Ann Neville was interviewed and stated, "Ever since Miss Brown has been taken away, everything is different. The nurses are very kind and we are given plenty to wear. The doctors come to see us often and the food is greatly improved." It is needless to say the impact that Bly had on the Blackwell Asylum, and it seemed as if the jury needed no more evidence. The Board of Consulting Physicians granted the asylum a $1 million raise, allowing them to work towards a credible admittance program and get rid of the abusive staff. Other societies nationwide saw New York's example and followed suit. As we look at mental institutions today, we can see the toils of her work. More importantly, when Bly shifted the devil mantra from patient to staff, the stigmas slowly began to disappear. However, this conflict further reminds us to shut down the stigmas against mental illnesses that still exist today. Bly quickly became one of the most famous journalists of her time. She arguably began the art of undercover journalism and went on to expose many other corrupt organizations. She also coined the term muckraker, which became prevalent in the 1900s. Millions read her articles and books written during her lifetime, which advocated for the rights of not only the mentally ill, but other impoverished people as well. Her legacy at Blackwell Asylum established a long-lasting reputation for Bly, and she will forever be appreciated for her work. In 1922, the Evening Journal wrote a tribute to her, calling her the best reporter in America. In 1988, she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. Her significance is also seen in dramatic representations and modern culture today, including a 4D film still being shown at the Annenberg Theater Museum in Washington, D.C. Nellie Bly exists as an inspiration to all of us. As she said, "Energy rightly applied can accomplish anything."